Okay, even though I don't celebrate holidays, I know there are some that still do. So my question to you today is, do you want a piece of pie? And as you know, pi equals, what is it? 3.14159256359. So that's pi, right? And then you also don't realize that pi is the pineal gland, right? Your third eye. So your third eye is calculated at 3.14159256359 pi. And let me show you something else. And then also, remember the part in the Bible where it says 2/3 descended from heaven and fell, right? Think about it. We have three eyes. Your third eye and then the two on your face. The third eye sits right here in the middle in your forehead in your pineal gland, right? So, two visions came from, well, it was one vision that became three. And then if you know the joke, a lot of people say 1 = 3. And I'll show you this just really fast here. So, say like here, you have a mother, a father, so that's 1 + 1. They give birth and have a baby plus child. That will equal 3. Mother, father, child. But we forget to count the number 0 and forget that 0 has value as well. But just wanted to show you that as well. But I'm going to show you this here. I'm still talking about darkness and silence. So when I say like light and our first forms of light, you have to understand that the first original form of light is darkness, right? Darkness. Our first form of communication was silence, and our first movements was stillness. And from darkness came light, from silence came sound, and from stillness became motion or movement, right? And then also, if you remember the part in the Bible that says, when you talk to God or anytime you pray to God, do it in silence and secret. I wrote some stuff down just so I'm not like rambling for like the long videos I was having. So this is what I have just so far. So darkness, silence, stillness, and the breath of life. If you ever given birth before, I never have, but I have a lot of maternal instincts just naturally. But when you give birth, you're doing a sacral breathing. And a lot of people don't even realize when you're just like, that activates the spark. And if you're familiar with like Kundalini energy, that's located at the bottom of the spine, that activates your spark. That's the breath of life. So all of that together puts you in your avatar state, or it can. And so I'll just read what I have here. So most people believe that speaking in tongues is the language that cannot be deciphered nor translated by the devil. So first, let's just start by taking accountability here and talk about who the devil really is. Boom, boom, boom. So we were taught, to pray against the devil. He's evil. The devil tempts, he tempts, he tempts. But throughout the Bible, you see that that's the only thing that this devil can do is tempt, give you seeds of temptation. Now, what you do with those seeds, how you cultivate them, nurture them, or grow them, that's up to you. Now, if you sit here and say like, oh, I never did anything wrong, just go ahead and just scroll past my video now. Please, just save us both some time. Don't even waste your time commenting on my post. Because everybody at some point in their life have done something wrong, whether it was a lie, stealing, manipulation. But my point is, when you did those devil-like things, did you physically see the devil standing right there with your own eyes? Or was it you standing right there? And anytime you did anything generous or helped somebody or did any God-like thing, have you physically saw God standing right there, or was you standing right there? Answer that honestly. So who can you blame, really? God or the devil? It's you. Free will, depending on what you want to do with yourself. So anyways, And then there's even a passage in the Bible that says, or it said that when you pray on the street amongst people, to don't let it be in boast, and pray in secret and silence. Okay. So when it says like two or more, when two or more come together in my name, I will be there in the midst. What do you think the two or the more is? We were taught to think that it was people, but the two or more exist in us. The two is your masculine energy and your feminine energy when it comes together in the name of love. So through the heart, where they all talk on the same language now, where the masculine is not disagreeing with the feminine and vice versa. And then another way to show you this, because in high school I took anatomy and physiology and stuff like that when I went to the career center, and I loved every bit of that, right? So with the brain, you have 12 nerves that sits over here, 12 nerves that sits over here. And then you think about it, you have a good man that sits on this shoulder, a bad man that sits on this shoulder. That's all talking about your body and how it functions together. So you could call one side the agreeables, the disagreeables, but they all sit on the side of the throne or the pineal gland, the source. Agree, disagree, or disagree, agree, whatever you want to see it. But they all sit right here. This is the source, masculine, feminine, and then they come together with the source at some point in your day, right? So let's see. So when your masculine and your feminine, they are aligned in the heart frequency, that's what gives you the 144,000 hertz frequency. It's the childlike love, that childlike frequency. Now, again, going back to praying in silence or meditating, sitting in darkness, stillness, nothingness. Why do you think we have two ears, right? Why do you think we have two eyes, two nostrils, a labia? Why do you think we have two of everything? It's masculine and feminine energies, right? So then, the reason why we have two ears and why it says to pray in silence, when you speak out loud, people says, oh, when you pray out loud, the devil can hear you. But the truth is, when you talk out loud, you can hear you. That's just what it is. But when you sit in silence, you're able to tap into your higher self. You're able to get that alignment and get your masculine together, or in the case, get your feminine together, whichever one needs work with your shadow work. Depends. But anyways, what was I at? Okay, so with my ears, I can tell you that speaking in tongues is just a collaboration of all languages. And I found this out in 2020. That was my second or third awakening. I lost count because I kept running from my calling. But 2020, I was talking in tongues. I was still into Christianity. And then I started listening to some of the words I'm saying. I was like, wait a minute, that's Spanish for such and such. Or, oh, I heard this in French. I'm like, wait a minute, is that all what tongue is? Then I just started like writing down some of the words I was saying, just trying to write them down to my best ability. And then boom, they're different languages. That's all that is. But there is just a combination of all audible languages, right? Even the clicking, that's a sacred language too, that's lost to most. And then let's see. But silence is something that cannot be translated. It's something that really can't be explained. You can't really explain it, right? So that's what makes it a sacred language. And then, let's see, from darkness came light. Oh, yeah, and then so proof also, they tell you the start of the day is at midnight. When you look outside, what does it look like? Is it light outside, like daytime, or is it night outside? That's showing you that darkness is our first light. Then once you start to really dive into universal laws, you understand again that the powers that were have to tell us the truth. But they do it in a way that they don't have to necessarily say, oh, this is the truth, because they're doing their deception as well. But as long as they're not intentionally, I know it sounds crazy, but an intentional deception. But they're still going by universal laws. Because if you break universal laws, the source will step in and consume it, right? They don't want to be consumed, so they have to follow universal laws to a certain extent, but they found loopholes.